So here is where you light the fire key during the coronation.
Yeah, over this.
Yes.
The coronation. This is the tabernacle.
Yeah, tabernacle.
Every Saturday we have a chanting.
Yes.
Sabbathing.
Yes, with the drums.
Yes, the drums.
The Ethiopian World Federation headquarters here in Shashamane. This is the land grant that was given to our people in the Western Hemisphere to come back home to Africa. It was given back in 1948 after our people helped Haile Selassie the first to fight and to regain his kingdom here in Ethiopia. You know, so this is Shashamane. My name, well, I'll give you my Rasta name. My name is Haile Selassie. My Ethiopian church name is Ras Wolde Georgis Selassie, Selassie, and my colonial name, or should I say my European name, is George Anthony Isles. Yeah, I was born in the UK, in London. I grew up in the Caribbean, in my mother's country, that was Montserrat. My father's from St. Kitts. Came back to England around '88, and I've been here since 1992. I've been back to England once, been back here in '94. I have not left again. I've known David for enough years, you know. He's been here many times before, so we have had some good connections over the years. But fortunately, I lost his number. Not really lost his number, but my phone with his number, so you know, connection has been cut off for a while. So it's good to see you all. This is the Federation. Our people helped Ethiopia during the time of the Italian invasion of Ethiopia. That's back in from 1935, the war went up till 41. The Federation was formed in 1937, the 25th of August. I mean, Sunday coming, next Sunday, is going to be the anniversary year of the Federation from that time until this time. It's the oldest, with the exception of the Ethiopian constitution that was given by His Imperial Majesty back in 1931. The Federation is the oldest black constitution, outside of Marcus Garvey. Marcus Garvey was there from back in 1916, 1918, the UNIA. But the Federation has been functioning before the OAU, before the United Nations, and that. So it's a constitution that was set to bring all black people of Africa together. Those born on the continent, and we who has been the descendants of slaves, you know. So well, it's been many years. If you was to check the history, we couldn't really pull it up tonight, you know. But our people has been coming here since back in the 1800s, coming from the time of emancipation. People been buying their own little tickets or moving on boats and sailing, coming to Africa. Most of our people still has gone back to the western coast of Africa still, because that's where, according to the history, most of our descendants as slaves came from the west coast, Ghana, Nigeria, what you call a place, Senegal, down to Benin and all that coast. But when you check the whole history, our people came from the whole part. Like there's one history in Ethiopia about, if you have heard that song, if you follow, well, I know Kenya follow a lot of reggae music. You know Jacob Killamilla? Yeah. Okay, you know one of his old tunes, 80,000 kings Ethiopian shall go down in Babylon. You know that tune? Well, if you listen to that tune, it's a history of our people, but you know that, as you know, in Africa, we chant by the oral history. Certain things is not written down, so the history was a bit, let's say through the years, it was a bit told backwards. What happened, there was a city in the north of Ethiopia in Wollo province called Jama. Had 100,000 Christian citizens in that city. There was no Muslim. It was at that time it was a war between the Muslim, Christian, when I say the Christian, the Orthodox Christians and the the Falasha Jews. That is around the time of the, how you call it, the consolidation of the Ethiopian Empire. Yeah? So that's long before any of our time anyway. So in that time, Ahmed Gra, excuse me, he was fighting, and they were fighting in the region of Harar. From Harar coming back up to into the Addis Ababa, that's on the eastern coast side. In that time, they attacked the city in Jama, and they killed 80,000 Christians in that city. They took the remaining 20,000 and sold them to the king of Baghdad, that is in Iraq. Now, because these people was fierce fighting Christians, they did not bow to Islam. So the king of Baghdad at that time, he said, I cannot hold these people. So he sold them to John Hawkins. If you study the history of British history, John Hawkins was knighted. He was a great pirate for England. Yeah? So he was working for Queen Victoria at that time. And he took the 20,000 from Baghdad, sailed to England, and he gave 500 to the Queen as her share of the bounty. Yeah? He has to pay because it's the British government that is funding his expeditions and things. Because they used to just fight the Spanish and the French and took away their treasures. So at that time now, he gave 500 to the Queen of England. And if anyone here has ever been to the UK or seen any pictures of the Houses of Parliament in London, you will see all that stonework. It's the same type of stonework you see here in Ethiopia. That tradition still continues. The next 19,500 slaves was then taken to Jamaica in the Western Hemisphere, see, down in the Caribbean. And from Jamaica, according to how hard he was rebelling, he was shipped further south. So a few of them was shipped from Jamaica right to the islands, right down into Trinidad. That's why our people, when we rose up as Rastafari, all of us were saying Ethiopia, because that has never been taken out of us. All the beating, all the punishments, all the crimes that we have been through, we have still held on to that vibration of Africa. So when the war came now with Mussolini, the whole Western world rose up. At that time, rose up, even though we was in chains. And when I say chains, not physical chains at the time, but it was still mental slavery. And we were fighting, some physically in some sense, because we had no rights. You couldn't vote, if this was white man's land, I couldn't cross over here. The ones who know the history of the Mau and Kukui and them fighting, and who saw Kenya fighting for liberation from Jomo Kenya at the time, will understand some of that vibration. But for us in America, it was different. You would be hanged, you would be shot, you would be mutilated, all kind of different things. But yet, people rose up and said, right now, if Ethiopia gets lost, there's no hope for black people anywhere upon the planet. Because anywhere you went, from Africa, you went to Australia, you went to India, anywhere that the black man was, he was going through the same form of oppression. You know, it became a systematic thing where it was the white man's time to rule the earth. You know, he's been ruling for the last 2,000 years. He's just about reached the top of his pinnacle now, and he's on the way going back down. So his civilization is now falling. Yours, while the African is getting a chance, where before he get the chance, the Chinese have to get their little time to rule for a short period of time, because they're the ones who's going to help to liberate Africa. And when I say liberate Africa, they're doing the thing now, they're doing the share of exploitation same way. But unlike the white man, the Chinaman is coming, he's giving road, he's giving railway, he's giving this. But without roads, you cannot move an army. You can't move, you cannot do certain development when it comes to certain progress. So he's doing his share. The good thing about all what he's doing is that the young people now in Africa is what? Rising up. The old politicians them now, it's time for them to what? Take a rest, because they've been what we call in the West, even according to the words of Dr. Zev, they're the condensed milk babies. Most of these leaders who was ruling Africa have grown up on what we call condensed milk, that is the processed milk. They were not given breast milk from mama. So they have lost a bit of the African vibe and has been dealing with the colonizers' agenda. Now you see like people like Ibrahim Toure down in Burkina Faso. Once it's rising up, you see what is going on in Kenya, you see what's happening in Nigeria. You know what I mean? So it's time for the African youth. Yeah, as my friend, I have a brother in there in South Africa. He says his name is Toto. He says it's time now for us to get liberated from the liberators, because they fought in South Africa for liberation, but then because the elders are still in the colonial mentality, they don't really say, well, okay, well, it's not 100% their fault still, because they was either take liberation or continue bloodshed. So they took the liberation, but they took it with their hands tied, you know. But the white man don't give you nothing for nothing. I can't tell you that. I've born in this country, grew up in this country, I've lived in his life for, well, you can say all my life, most of my life. So we know him. We coming out of the West, we know him harder than and better than any African that is born on the continent. Because you're born on your own continent and you see him through a different mirror. We are born in his country, right in his house. You know, we have, as our ancestor says, we have taken him from the cradle, well, from the womb to the cradle to the grave. You know, we speak his language, we live his culture. For many years we have been brainwashed by him. And for us who is being liberated in this time, we are saying, you know, it's time for the African youths to rise up, have a different mentality. You know what I mean? Because for us, and the good thing about us in going into slavery is that we have lost what we call tribalism. We still have certain things that the white man still put on us, like in the Caribbean we don't call it tribe, we call it islandism. Like you'll have the Jamaican, he will think he's better than the Trinidadian, or the Monstrosian, or the Kittitian. So we have that little kind of friction, in a sense. But we don't have that kind of thing. What the white man does to us now is that he puts drugs in our communities, and he makes you fight against your own brother. Like for example, what's happening in Haiti. You know? We see on the news where they even take Kenyan policemen to go to Haiti to try to keep the peace when they're having the same problems or different, still at home. But the thing with Haiti, what we have to understand with Haiti, you see Haiti is a lesson that we as African people have to understand. Haiti is the first country to fight, even before Ethiopia, and to be liberated from slavery in the Western Hemisphere. The Frenchman has not forgiven Haiti from that time until this time. Haiti just about how much? It's about 10 years. So I mean, it's a short time, about 10 years, no more than 10 or 15 years, that Haiti has finished paying off France for her freedom. When Toussaint Louverture beat the French, it was what was his name again? Was the famous Napoleon. Yeah, when he finished beating him on the battlefield in Haiti, they said, come to Haiti, to France to sign the peace treaty and to have your emancipation. Then they locked him up on the ship and he died in jail in chains. They said if Haiti wanted her independence, she has to pay France how much millions or billions of dollars which he has just been able to finish paid off in the last 15 years. And from that time until now, they have been fighting Haiti. They've had bad governments. Now it's gangsters, running the streets and all that stuff. You know what I mean? So Haiti is going through a punishment. It's no different to what happened in Africa. Check with Mugabe. Check with any man who has really stood up for any African rights. And they have all been told to us that they're wicked people, they're this, they're that, all the baddest names. But yet when you go around and ask the people who really know these people, you hear a different story, So it is for us as a people to understand what is called propaganda, and in today's modern technology it's called AI now, artificial intelligence. You know what I mean? So, but this time I'm glad to see the brothers and the sisters from across the border come on to the throne room of Ethiopia, and we give thanks. So it's a lot of people don't know. Only David me know still my name. So if somebody wants to say something or ask anything, can introduce yourself that we get to know you, and don't worry, we have one family here still, so everything is blessed.
Any questions? Just introduce yourself and ask some questions.
No, this is something. My sister's here. David, tell me you're from Japan. From Japan, Tokyo?
Yes.
Okay. You know the samurai? Eh? They still have samurais in Japan?
Yes.
Okay. I will tell you a little small history. No, because there is only one earth. Idolem? Yeah. Well, when I say idolem, that means, is it not so? Eh? There's a story about the samurai, which is this is like in Ethiopia or in Kenya, you have the warriors. The samurai is like the warriors. They're the ones who carry the traditional vibes of Japan. Now they said to be a brave samurai, you have to have a bit of black blood in you. Now the Japanese people is not a race of people. They're a nation. According to the ancient history that I've studied, they are made up of the Ethiopian blood and the Chinese. That's why the Japanese, if you check, even their writing and their language is close with the Chinese. Enough of their traditions that you have in Japan is the same as we have even here in Ethiopia. Like for example, during World War II and even up to this time, the Royal House of Japan, with what was his name? Emperor Hideyoshi or something like that. I cannot remember. The emperor during the time of World War II, he was looked upon as the representative of God coming in the flesh to live amongst the Japanese people. Just like how the Dalai Lama in Tibet is looked upon as the reincarnation of the God line. Because in every tradition, in every set of people, we have always seen God coming through the flesh, because the Bible itself says we are made in his likeness and his image. So we have to see him in a physical form to understand him. The only people on the earth that does not accept God coming in the flesh is the European people. They're the only race or nation of people on the earth that is what we call totally physical, materialistic. Every other people that has any form of spirituality have that connection of God and man in a unison. So it's good to see you, my sister, coming here into Ethiopia, and we have had a few Japanese that has been in our community. I think there's even one living. You have Chinese Awashu, right? Yeah, there's a Japanese brother that's still living somewhere in Awashu. But we have had a few of Chinese and Japanese who've been here through the years, who is of the faith of far right. You know? So we give thanks for visiting us here in Shashamane. Bless. All right, any questions, any reasoning? Come tell me something about Kenya. How is it in Kenya? There's only one God, Emperor Haile Selassie the first, King of Kings and the Lord of Lords, the conqueror of the tribe of Judah. Right? The elect of himself and the light of this world. For us, coming out of the Western Hemisphere, we have tend to take now some of the different divisions that the white man has instilled in us. So we have kind of broken up the movement. When the movement started first from the 1930s, everything was under one house. The Nyabingi is what we call our spiritual warriors. That means, because we're not going to take up a gun to go and shoot with a white man, because you don't make gun, you don't make bullet. You're going to buy the gun and the bullet from the same and you're going to shoot. You're going to get the worst guns. So he's going to always beat you. If you even win 2 battles here today, he's to encourage you to buy more guns for him. So he's always winning. So it's about a spiritual liberation of the mind and the body and the soul. So that's the Nyabingi. When we come together with big drums, every man is a Bingi man. Every woman is a Bingi woman. The 12 tribes of Israel is the nation. We see ourselves as Israel as the descendants of Jacob, Abraham, Jacob, and Isaac and Jacob. That bloodline that is coming through. That's Israel. All of us is Israel. According to how the teachings as to how Gadman has taught ones in Jamaica that will function by the month, because ones don't have time maybe to go around and check every man's DNA to see which exact bloodline of Jacob they came from. Because most of the black people who came out of Africa into slavery is coming out of the Israelite tradition. If you understand what I mean. Like when you go into West Africa, there was on the coast, you would see signs saying this is the settlement of Judah. You know what I mean? So most of us, when we was dispersed out of Jerusalem, went down into the west, from North Africa into West Africa. A portion already came up into Ethiopia with the firstborn of Israel with Solomon's Ark of the Covenant at the time. Yeah? But Israel is the name of the nation. The Bible, if you read the Bible, Ezekiel, in the book of Ezekiel, the prophecies, I cannot tell you exactly which chapter, but in the last set of book chapters from 40 going right up until 45, 47, whatever, to the end, it is telling you all the prophecies of Israel returning back to the promised land. And how he's going to inherit the land in this last time. It's been given, but he got a piece before, and then it was given all, and it's explained. So it tells you about the sons of Zodok, the high priest, the one who was faithful to King David and King Solomon, who never went astray. He says these priests, they wear the linen bonnet, which is the turban on their head. That's the bubble. So we see the bubble as the priesthood in far right. But not every Rastaman will have this interpretation or concept. This is something that I'm bringing out of my island, which you call Mount Paran. He's showing you back the reunification of the faith as one. Because for me, I'm a Bingi man. But I do not necessarily uphold all the teachings as how it is coming from Jamaica. Because I'm not from Jamaica. You understand? I see myself as an Israelite because of my tradition and what the history teaches me. But I do not necessarily uphold the teachings, all the teachings that are as it's being practiced today by the 12 Tribes of Israel's organization. You understand? Because some things is conflicting. And as I said to you, the Bible we see as the priesthood. You know? So if you put all that back together, we just have Rastafari. You know, so I don't really make it a practice for me to have a difference between the bubble or the 12 tribe or anything. But because we grew up in the Western world, me and you, we come from the same house. But then we have an argument over an interpretation. And what you do, I hold this leg and you hold that leg. It breaks and you say, well, that your part is the correct part. I say my part is the correct part. So I take all these people here with me. And you take all of those people. Before we was one house. Now we become two houses. But in my house, me and David, we have a next argument. So David takes this other leg. Now David takes a portion of gun with one side. One of your friends there, your brother there, he takes that other leg. Now we have 4 houses. You understand? Yes. And instead of we sticking together as a people, we are becoming fragmented because of ideology. In capitalism, there's only one creed: exploitation. And every man agrees with that. In communism, there's only one creed: exploitation. We must have, and you must just give. That's it. It's true.
Okay. In a chant, everyone meets. When you're chanting for the service ceremony, everyone meets.
Well, to be honest with you, here in Shashamane, our people still has a baggage. Like for example, yesterday was a holiday for us. Yeah? It was Marcus Garvey's birthday. It was Crown Prince Zara Jacob's birthday. It was Emperor Menelik's birthday. It is Prince Emmanuel's birthday. And it is also Idi Amin Dada of Uganda's birthday yesterday. That's 5 powerful entities. Eh? And we are all celebrating in some form or the other, all of them. But we are not united. You will see a few ones, we go to the Nayabingi, and then, well, in this community, the majority of the members here in this community is of the 12 tribes of Israel. So you will see a whole portion of them go to the 12 tribe HQ. The Baba here now, he will go to maybe the 12 tribe or wherever he wants to go, because he does not have a church here no anymore. He had, but because they had differences, that church grounds was sold off. So they do not have a centralizing spot here in Shashamane anymore. So everyone wants to do anything, they go by the Bindi house or they go to the 12 tribe. You know what I mean? So we still have those little small differences. And then you have us here now as the Ethiopian World Federation. We are not a Rasta organization. This is the black man's government. It's totally different. Yeah? I'm a Rasta man first and foremost before I become a federation. Yeah. If you understand. So Rastafari for me is my spiritual living, and this is my government. I use this organ to face the government. You know, this is my shield to fight with the government for whatever rights I have to get.